Hello. My name's Alex Pope. This is the first video I'll be doing. Hopefully I'll be getting to do some more. Um, I just wanted to share what I'm doing really, where I'm up to, that kind of thing. Bit of a background on me. Um, I'm an athletics coach. First of all, I started off as a thrower, and then as I got taller, leaned up a little bit. I went from shot put to discus to javelin to pole vault to finally combined events under 20, sixth form. And yeah, I absolutely loved it. I had a plethora of coaches, won the county champs quite a few times. Um, I think I came fourth in the UK as number 23 at one point. I had loads of different coaches, but I only really had two combined events coaches um, when I was in sixth form. There's a guy called Nick Phipps, who was a decathlete himself. He was in the era of David Thompson. And when I was at university, around about 2007, 2008, John Anderson from Gladiators. Bearing in mind, I'd been in the sport for nearly 11 years at that point. Get my first combined events coach 11 years in. Uh, yeah, pretty harsh. So yeah, I had to learn a lot of things along the way. Um, in all fairness, I was a county level decathlete, but competed at the national level for a little bit, but that's about as far as I went. And as much as I tried to improve, at the time I didn't really know what I was doing. And it's only through reflection now that I've really thought about it. I've learned things, but now I feel like I've collated all that I know. And I feel like I know what I need to do. And my driving philosophy behind all of this is I want to be the coach that I wish I had as a kid, first starting out. Because I feel I got quite far considering my lack of talent. Um, but ambition and determination carried me, to be honest. And without them, yeah, physically, I'm just a chunky maths teacher, really. Yeah, just run of the mill guy, but I was clearly in shape at one point in time and I do some pretty good stuff. So how did it come to coaching? Um, well, I'm a maths teacher. I have been for the last 11, 12 years. And I love coaching. I just didn't realize athletics coaching was the one for me. It should have been obvious. I mean, in hindsight, it is. But I think like when you stop training in athletics, I almost felt like it was a bit of a guilty, like, I can't show my face around there anymore kind of thing. And so I just got stuck into my school. And I was coaching football teams, um, running inter-house competitions, football, basketball, rugby, tennis, badminton, dodgeball, video games, virtual reality, Rubik's Cube, speed chess, tug of war, so many different things. I just loved the competitive atmosphere, G'ing kids on, that kind of thing, you know. And then when lockdown hit, um, COVID, yeah, it made me really reflect on things. And I had a COVID resolution of I'm going to get out there and I'm going to contribute to really the sport I know the most of and that I've loved all my life. And that's athletics. And so I was lucky that Blackheath and Bromley Harriers were running a post-COVID development day for youngsters. They're looking for volunteers. I stuck my hand in the ring and said, "Yep, that'll do." And then within a couple of months, I was finishing my level one coaching assistant award. And then a year and a bit later, I'm getting my volunteer of the year award for the London region. I've got a pretty sizable committed group, um, and completed my athletics coach in jumps. Um, and yeah, I'm looking to complete my level 3, which is event group stuff and sprints, hurdles, jumps, and throws. So 3 qualifications. Um, maybe endurance, but I want to prioritize those 3 first. And yeah, what can I say? Never looks back. So where is the group now? So good and bad things. Well, it's a very difficult question to answer, actually, because when it comes to teaching, for example, say, for example, there's 5 classes in a year. Let's pick year 9, for example, 14-year-olds. And I might teach 1 class out of 5. Now, if I ask the question, how well is my class doing? Or how well am I doing? I'd at least know where to look. I could look at the data of all the tests that all the students have done so far. I could look at the historical data they did in year 7, year 8 with different teachers. I could think, okay, maybe they responded well with that teacher, they didn't with the other one. Maybe I could have a chat with this teacher and see what they like, what worked with them. I could look at their results compared to other classes and say, well, actually, they're not so good on these topics comparatively, but they are in these. And the point is, you can get lost down a rabbit hole of statistics, and you can infer a lot of different things. And it's just a case of to know what you're looking for. Whereas athletics, I find it's incredibly hard. It's not really a benchmarkable thing. How well are you doing? But never want to shy away from a challenge. I pretty much took all of the results from the senior, under 20, under 17, under 15, under 13, men and women, combined events, the top 10 athletes in those categories, and all of the coaches, so even including the other coaches, and that took a while. And apparently it's just down to 57. I don't know if that's impressive or about right, but there appears to be 57 coaches that are responsible for the top 10 across all the age groups and all the combined event stuff. And well, if we start with the negatives first, when I say the negatives, the not so wells, negatives and positives, that's for another video. But when it comes to not so wells, my group out of 57 are about 31st, 32nd, so quite a fair way down when it comes to ranking athletes or ranking groups by how many international athletes are in them. Because quite a lot of groups have international athletes in them. So what do I mean by internationals? Can range to SIABs, representing England or Great Britain in some way, like European Youth Championships, World Juniors, European Juniors, stuff like that. And to me, a major international is the major senior internationals. And to me, there's 4. Commonwealths, Europeans, Worlds, and Olympics. And by the way, there's no like writing in stone saying these are the major ones. It's just, to me, it doesn't get any bigger when it comes to those competitions. You can argue like there's prestigious ones like GOTSIS and various other highbrow competitions or whatever abroad, but they're not what I'd consider major international championships, even though for all intents and purposes they more or less are. Because well, why is that? Because all the big guns go there as like practices, but it's not what I consider a major international. So yeah, my athlete group is kind of lacking in internationals. And is that a bad thing? Not particularly. I think the mitigating reason why I'm lacking internationals is because the average age of the athletes I coach is, it's 14. It's 14. And so really at that age, at the under 15 level or first year under 17, the only internationals you can get that I'm aware of is at the under 15s, the combined events SIABs, England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, or the under 17 English schools individual events SIAB. And yeah, it's just been a case of my athletes have not been old enough yet or haven't got to that level. Whereas now, this year, I'm confident there's going to be a big old sweep of stuff. And then the other thing that I feel that hasn't gone so well is I coach at three different places. Canterbury, which is the far southeast of Kent, Bromley, which is like the northwest of Kent, so like good 50, 55 miles away, and Kingston, which is southwest London, Surrey, which is another hour and a half drive away from where I'm based in Dartford. And so it's not necessarily a bad thing, but because all of my athletes are young and they have to train fairly locally, I do spend a lot of time and money on fuel and driving. Yeah, so it would be nicer if they were all together. And it's also just a bit nicer if they were all more like locally within the same kind of region of each other, just because they get to train with each other more. They do know each other because we've had like a meal together February half term, which was a delayed Christmas meal, and they all met up and whatever. And they've competed against each other as well, competed with each other. But it would just be nice for squad unity if they're all together more often. So I think they're a lovely bunch of kids that just don't hang out together that much. That's all. And yeah, well, they do in training, but like concurrently. So the Bromley lot get on really well. The Canterbury lot get on really well. But I've yet to see them together. But it's not the end of the world. And now the positives, or rather the good things. Oh man, it started with a couple of county champions to begin with, and now it's skyrocketed to 3 national champions, 5 medals at the national stage, 2 English schools champions, 6 athletes in the top 3 UK, 3 of them for the combined events, and an average ranking of the group of about 9.3. And, you know, the only group that's got a higher or lower ranking is the Toby Stevenson American guy, because he's only got 3 athletes on Power 10, and their average ranking is like 3 and a bit. But my group, there's 9 of them on Power of 10. And yeah, I think I've got 16 in total. So 9 of them to an average of 9 is, I think, it's pretty good. They're just a lovely bunch of kids. Now, take that with a pinch of salt, because it's the end of the indoor season and some athletes probably haven't competed yet that might be coming out. But I'd like to say that the group has worked really hard, and I can definitely say that, well, they had a really good indoor season. Like, they've come off the back of it and they're like, yep, lessons learned, and we actually did the business. And apart from one athlete who was injured through a gymnastics accident, nothing to do with our training, the whole squad is healthy and they're looking forward to the summer season. So absolutely fantastic. Now, relatively speaking, yeah, if you look at those top 57 coaches in the UK working with the top 10 combined event athletes, my group is ranked first if you're looking at number of combined event athletes in the top 5, top 10 and podium position, whether it's absolute number or even more outstanding percentage of groups. I mean, I've seen some groups on Power of 10 where there's like 30 athletes in the group. There's only 3 people in podium position. Whereas, you know, podium position, I've got 6 and there's only 9 people in the group. So it's like nearly 2/3 of them are in the top 3 UK, and quite a lot of them are first. So yeah, and then it's also top for top 5 in podium position for individual events as well. So it's not like I just have combined eventers. These are athletes with good individual events as well, that are like, you know, UK leading or getting up there. So yeah, no, the guys are really, really smashing it out of the park. The couple of things I want to caveat that with is it's still early days in the season. Although I had the ranks of all of last summer and this winter in that as well. So I didn't exclude people that hadn't competed over the winter. So really, the argument of like, oh, we haven't had a winter season. It's like, well, if you finish the summer number one and you didn't have a winter season, then I still would have counted you as number one for a ranking. So the point is, there might be a number one in the summer and then a number one for the winter. Whereas I guess technically speaking, the amount of number one should only be one, because there can only be number one. No, there can only be one number one, but I might have double counted because different athletes and so on. But whatever, I don't think it's the big four in the system. And then the second thing is, well, first of all, I'm not hooked up on performance. Let's get this completely out of the way. I am more about progress. Okay. So by that, I mean, I would quite happily coach an athlete that could run 100 meters in 29 seconds. And if their sole goal is to shave 0.1 of a second off their 100 meters, and they work ridiculously hard, and they get that goal and they progressed, that's awesome. Right? That is completely awesome. So although I've just spieled on about, rankings and all that business, I'm more concerned about how my athletes progressed and developed, not only as people, but as athletes. And just to put it out there, one of my athletes, Joshua Darko, he improved from 1,611 points, so 1,611, to 2,500 points, which is 960 points in one season. And then he's just improved another 300 points in the indoor season. And he's looking to smash this year as well. So to put that into perspective, in 15 months, he's gone 1,200 points up, from 1,600 to 2,800. So what does that mean? Well, 1,200 points in a pentathlon, double it, that's what you see an improvement in decathlon. So double 1,200 is 2,400. Now, put it in perspective, my PB for a decathlon is 6,500. If you were to give me another 2,400 points, I would go from 6,500 and a bit to nearly 8,800. Well, the little bits would round up, and so it'd be near 8,800. And so that is the difference between me, a county level decathlete, and Daley Thompson, Britain's number one of all time. And I'm telling you now, there's no way in 1 year of training at my best I could have gotten anywhere near Daley Thompson. No way. So, and the thing is, he's not alone. A lot of athletes in my group and a lot of athletes up and down the country have improved by just a ridiculous amount. The difference is Josh finished under 13, number 10 in the UK as an under 13, and then he's now number one in the under 15s. So he's climbed up 10 places. I know rankings don't mean everything, but what I'm trying to say is he has improved more than his peers for his age, is what I'm trying to say. And he's not the only one in my group. I've got people in my group that have improved the most out of everybody in the UK. For example, Shane West, his 100-meter hurdles time has just exploded. He was struggling to get mid-14s last year, 14.5. I picked him up the latter end of summer. We had a good winter. He had a PB of 14.17 by the end of the summer. Roll on a hard winter training program, and now he's just exploded with 13.40. And he's now joint number one in the UK. But technically, he should be number one because in that race, him and Rayan, it was a really close race, but he won that race. And it wasn't a PB for Rayan. It was an equal PB. Whereas, Shane just took like 0.8 of a second off his PB from 14 1-7, nearly 14-2 to 13-4, nearly a whole second, which is just phenomenal. So yeah, it's quite a lot of people in my group have improved massively.